When did you start doing comedy?
2010.
What made you get up?
What made me do it the first time?
Yeah.
I was in the mortgage business, and in 2009.
College educated?
No, dropped out of community college to do Percocet and sell subprime mortgages in Long Island, which I still believe is what I will return to. I believe stand-up is a sabbatical from my true calling, which is to work in a strip mall and have great lunches, serious lunches, and take Percocet and telemarket mortgages in the tri-state area. All over the country, but the tri-state area we hit because you could go and sit down at the table and have a meeting. That I remember we were in the Melville Marriott, and there was a CEO of a really big bank there, and he was hammered. And he looked at me and a few young kids, not young, we were like 24, you know? And he said to us, he goes, boys, there's a cold wind blowing. And he was just knocking back booze. You know, this guy had a family, had a big house, and he was leveraged, you know, all this was, you know, he had, you know, so and I was like looking around the office, and I was like, we're done. We're dead in the water. It's like, it's over. It's over. There's no coming back from this. My life is done. And then I was like, I'm 25. I'm not educated. What am I going to do? And I walked into a coffee house tattoo parlor on Long Island because one of my friends gave me the name of an open mic. He goes, go do this open mic and see what happened.
Any interest in comedy growing up?
I mean, I loved like, you know, I would see Carlin. He'd be great. I remember once when I was coming down from Shrooms, first year of college, somebody showed me Bill Hicks, his set at Montreal. I think Revelations, or Relentless. I forget which one it was, where he's in the black turtleneck and he opens up. He goes, I was for the war. He goes, we had a war in the States. And he goes, I was in the unenviable position of being for the war, but against the troops. And I thought that was one of the funniest things I'd ever heard. And you're coming down from Shrooms, you're like, wait, what the fuck? Did I even hear that right? And I watched that set, and I was really like drawn into that. But I mean, as a kid, I loved SNL. I loved all that. And I was an actor from when I was 6 to when I was 12, child actor. So I was in plays. I auditioned for, you know, sitcoms in New York, all that shit. So I was like into theater and stuff like that. But nothing ever worked. I was a failed actor at 11. It was tough, you know. But I took a little break, and then 25, I got back in. So it was like I always had that bug, wanting to be on stage, wanting attention.
Once you got when you got back on that tattoo place,
yes.
How did you feel when you got off the stage?
I said, okay, this is where I belong. I fit here. I fit here. I said, I fit here, which was insane because it was a tattoo parlor cafe, and I said the place didn't even make sense, but it's Long Island, so nothing makes sense. Like when you would bomb, you heard the needle go zzz. And then somebody getting a tattoo would go, next. And then you go to the next joke. But it was, I was like, I'm just going to keep coming back here. And I'm going to follow everybody here to the next place they go. And to the next place they go. And then I just kept following people and going, where are we doing comedy? You know, and that's how I got into it. And then eventually that led me to New York. And then it led me, you know, years and years later to LA.
What year did you get on stage? 2010?
2010, September 2010.
When did you move to New York?
I moved to New York 2 years after that. 2 years after that.
And you were all in?
All in. Now, the first 2 years I was driving into New York City, and I did a lot of black rooms because black rooms would let you go up. You know, a lot of the alternative rooms, they were, you know, more selective. They were cunty, and you couldn't get into clubs. But black rooms would let you go up, urban shows. And they liked me. I was a big white guy. I was funny. And, you know, and they were really fun. My friends loved going to these rooms because these guys were killer. I mean, we'd see Mike Epps, you know, Smokey Suarez. These guys are just murderers. Some of my friends would come with me. And then when I went to the city, I started doing the alternative rooms, and, you know, girls would get up and open a Moleskine book. My friends stopped coming. They were like, we've had enough of this. But that's what I did primarily for like the first 2 years was open mics. And then I would do, you know, black rooms in Brooklyn and in the Bronx. And then I would do, you know, whatever you got. You get a club spot here, you get a club spot there. But then I moved in 2012, right before Hurricane Sandy, and I moved in with a married couple. And their marriage, they were just getting married. And that didn't last, that marriage. That was the second divorce I was maybe a part of. The first was my parents. The second one was, I probably share some blame for both of them. Because nobody wants a 25-year-old guy like me moving in with you when you just get married. It's just not what it is. You know, that's not, nobody's
Why'd
like,
you move? Were they friends of yours?
they had a cheap room, $500 a month.
Yeah.
And they were comics, and they go $500 a month. Listen, the building was built in 1911. It's a railroad apartment. It's a long hallway, and your room's on one end, our room's on the other. The shower is in the kitchen. So somebody's going to be washing their ass, somebody's going to be making eggs. And the bathroom is in the hall of the building. But it's on 45th between 8th and 9th Avenue. You got every subway in the city. You have a rooftop. You could go up and smoke cigarettes and tell your friends how fucking good you did at the open mic, which I, would do all the time. And they go, you can live here $500 a month. So I said, done, deal, in. So that's when I went. That's when I would consider all in, because then you're living in that situation. You're living with steam heat, and you're 25, you're 27 at that point. I'm 27. I'm by no means a kid, and I'm waking up every day. Because my foot touches a steam pipe and you get a 3rd-degree burn, and then you're rolling out of bed. And that's when I was doing comedy every night, and then during the day trying to sell photocopiers in Staten Island. Yeah, it's
photocopies.
Yeah,
on the phone?
jobs get sadder.
Oh no,
the jobs get sad. But I'm a sales guy. I'm full of shit.
Me too.
I'm full of shit, and I'm with people that are always also full of shit. My father's full of shit. My grandfather wasn't. He was a contractor. He worked, he was real. Worked with his hands, built things, made
You're
things.
not full of shit. You have the gift of gab.
Well, I like the way you say it.
There's a big difference.
Right. It's a good
There's
point.
a big difference in being full of shit
Right.
and being a gift of gab.
Right.
Okay? The gift of gab is you could just talk to people.
Yeah.
Make them at ease.
Yes.
And sell them a product.
Yeah.
Sell them a product.
Yeah.
That they don't need.
Yes, that they don't need and shouldn't have.
Okay? Whether it's, when... Here's the funny thing. What we do as comics, when we realize that sales goes into it, that's when everything changes in our game.
Right. That's true.
When sales gets into it. You could be the best comedian in the world. If you're not selling yourself, you're done.
You're fucked.
And it's so weird how my background in sales was impeccable.
Yeah.
When I bit into sales, I fell in love with it because I was uneducated.
Right.
I was GED, whatever.
Yeah.
And I knew I didn't want. There was a couple things I knew early on. A, I didn't want a day job.
Right.
That just was not going to work
Right.
in my world. And number two, I didn't want to fucking work for a certain wage every hour.
Right.
I wanted never to have a ceiling. That always made sense to me.
Yeah.
What does that mean? That you're a salesman.
That's exactly right.
Some months you're going to make $800 and you suck it the fuck up.
And some you make $8,000.
And some months you make $8,000.
Yeah.
And you suck it the fuck up.
Right.
And then you learn how to balance it. You learn how to put away money.
The first month you make $8,000. You're at a steakhouse. You got a porterhouse for $2.
Fuck yeah.
You got a shellfish tower lobster. Put some blue claw crab on that too, please. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Let's get a couple of gin martinis. Let's do the cheesecake. Bring all the appetizers. Lobster bisque. Pour it in cups. We'll drink it while we eat the steak.
Fuck.
And then it's like then you realize you have to pay taxes because sales is the 1099. They give you $8,000. You didn't make $8,000, by the way. You now owe money. So I would get a check and then I would go out and spend money, and then I'd realize, I owe money. Like I owe $4,000 of that goes to the government, and I didn't pay any of it. So that was something too. But when I got into comedy, the only job I could get was in Staten Island, and it was photocopiers and selling office equipment. Sad, because when you're selling real estate or mortgages, at least somebody around you's got a lot of money, and you could look at them and be like, well, I want to be that. I want to be, my boss, this guy Tim, who had a big house and a pool. But when you telemarketing photocopiers Staten Island, everybody there is desperate, and they all have that job because it's in walking distance of their house, or they could take a bus. Many of them just had Dewey's.
What do you mean bus? Half of them are halfway houses.
Right.
Half of them live in a shelter.
Yeah.
Half of them are toothless.
Yes.
They're alcoholics.
Yeah.
Half of those telemarketing.
Yeah.
House HBO
Yeah.
hasn't developed a show
I pitched one
about
there. Yeah.
12 telemarketers.
I know.
6 people who are fucking serious
Yeah,
about
dude.
life. and 6 people who live day to day, shoot heroin,
Right.
they got HIV, but part of the sales plan is cash.
Yes.
Okay, so there's jobs that, like, I had a great fucking job. I got a job at night when I did comedy right before I left for New York. I got a job from 5 to 9.
Yeah.
Easy.
Perfect.
5 to 9.
So those are the prime time
$10 an
hours
hour.
to pound the phone.
Pound the phone.
Pound the phone.
I think it was 10 an hour.
Yeah. And commission, plus commission.
25 an appointment.
Yeah. You appointment setter.
He was an assurance guy.
Right.
And all I did was
Just get him in the door.
He had a sheet that he had already had contact with.
Of course.
And it was 25
Well, that's an
perfect.
appointment.
I would try to get 3 appointments an hour.
Yeah.
You get 3 appointments an hour, that's 75. That's fucking, $300-400 a night.
Yeah.
Plus the $8.
Yeah.
I used to sell cigars. Remember when cigars were popular?
Yeah, in the 90s,
I
they
was
were
an
insane.
open micer here.
Yeah.
When I became a regular at the store, the biggest job in L.A. was selling cigars on the phone. Sunset, right across from Rock and Roll Ralph's.
Yeah.
Where the hotel is, walk 50 steps, that building, there were 20 fucking motherfuckers in there. 10 of us were, actors, comics.
Yeah.
You had to be there at 5 in the morning, 5 or 6 in the morning. But the other 10 were fucking people who were toothless.
Yeah,
Who'd be
degenerates.
fucking drinking while they were fucking 5 in the morning.
Who was the better salesman?
Drinking. There was, listen,
Anybody can have a good day.
hunger is hunger, bitch.
Hunger is hunger, yeah. I the best salesman in my
Hunger is
office
hunger, bitch.
was a woman in the copier office. There was a woman named Ida. And they go, Ida just sets appointments. They said, sit next to Ida. So you train, you sit next to the top producer when you train. So you sit next to Ida, and this was the top producer at this till, and she looked at me. I'll never forget this because this just puts in perspective how fucked everybody was. She goes, I'm doing good this year, and if I do even better, I'm gonna get a car. And I went, oh fuck, she's the top. She's Mount Olympus, and she doesn't have a fucking car. I said, she doesn't have a car? And she would get on a bus every single day. And she'd set 3 or 4 appointments, get on the bus every day, make her money. And that's what she was. She was just a, she had the gift of gab.
If you got the gift of gab, you always eat.
Yeah.
I always say, what's the best motivator? Hunger.
Yeah.
Who's the best salesman? Show me the hungriest guy in this motherfucker.
There's something cool about a sales office, too, because it is a level playing field.
Every day you start at zero.
Every day you start at zero.
That's a tremendous gift to teach somebody.
Yeah.
That you start at zero
Huge.
every morning at 8.
Nobody cares if you're
at
black,
zero.
white, Spanish, gay, straight, Asian. No, it's about making money. It's about numbers on a
Bottom
board.
Fucking line.
Yeah.
You realize what the bottom line is of life.
Yeah.
I tell people a lot of, listen, there's people who are very intelligent in life. But if I fucking woke you up at 8 and gave you a fucking gun and said, have 500 by 5 o'clock, every day, this is how the life I lived.
Yeah.
It was uncut gems for me.
Yeah.
I left at 8. I didn't know what I was bumping
And a
into.
lot of people that have never had to do that, if they just college or whatever, and they just got, certificates and degrees and they got licenses and their entire life was just a different track. But there's something about having nothing. Because when you're in one of those offices, you're telemarketing, nobody cares if you come in. They don't care if you come in. Nobody's going to call you and go, hey, are you supposed to be here? They might do that one day. They assume you're not going to come. They assume you're not going to show up. They don't give a shit because somebody's going to sit in that seat if you don't. It's entirely on you. There's nobody there that has any investment in what you're doing. You're the only one.
What the fuck are you giggling about? Nobody.
Why did you like him? What did he do?
He did an error.
I knew a second ago, but now it's... keep going from where you told it, because then...
You know that little forehead you got?